What's up, guys? I'm gonna get started here in a minute. I got it. They all been, that's good, that's good. I'm gonna mute myself right now. I don't. We're recording. Oh yeah. Yeah. Now that you're here, we're great.
Yeah. Perfect. Just in time for it to start.
Hold up. All right, guys, we're going to get started. Thank you so much for coming. And also, we're showing the workshop in there if you guys are like too crowded in here. How many of you guys are here for IoT World? Yeah. Oh, that's a lot. How many are you going to the hackathon tomorrow? Okay, just a few. You guys should all come to the hackathon and at least see what people are building. This workshop is aimed at beginners, and if you know how to code any type of language, like any type of scripting language, it should be pretty easy to follow along. It's called Controlling Devices with Code, SmartApp Solutions. My name is Major, and this is Chris. Developer advocate means that I go to hackathons, events, workshops, work with the developer community, do all sorts of stuff with our education, developer experience, stuff like that. And Chris, do you want to tell them what you do?
So, developer programs engineer. I'm here for the developer community. I support all of our developers with our SmartApps. So, we're going to go over here. Our device type handlers, which are similar to SmartApps, we'll explain those briefly. And any development questions in between.
So, I'm just going to go dive right into it. How many of you guys heard of SmartThings? Okay, there we go. So, you understand that it's a open platform for IoT. This is our app. We'll show you the app live in a little bit. Our hub is actually in one of those rooms. It looks like this. And that hub connects to the internet, which connects to tons of different devices. So here's some of the devices, and you can look at them up close and personal a little later. Also, put your business card here, and you can win a kit like that. The way our hub communicates is with Zigbee, Z-Wave, LAN, and cloud to cloud. Okay, so, well, how many of you guys are developers? Okay. Shouldn't even have to be a developer to understand this. I don't think. Pretty straightforward. Do you want to explain capabilities?
Yeah. So, how many people have used Groovy? Okay. Actually, more than I expected. So, how many people have made a SmartApp? Have understand the platform?
Oh, wow.
Okay. Can you speak up? Yeah. So, in SmartThings, we have capabilities, which are defined in our device type handler. And we use this in order to help developers develop SmartApps easily and without worry about what the protocols are that are talking to the devices. So it can be a quick set lock, that's Zigbee. It can be a different manufacturer's lock.
So the examples here are like switch. The switch can either be on or off, and it has commands. So it's an actuator. You can turn it on and turn it off. You can also get the attributes.
Right. So this is how you would code for it. We have a capability acceleration sensor, which is right there. It has attributes, so it tells you if it's active, inactive, and it doesn't have any commands. So you can't send anything to this. It purely sends data back to you that you can read.
Yep. So basically, if we wrote a smart app for this switch, it would work with any type of device that has capability on switch. So you don't have to worry about all the codes and stuff that go into actually sending raw messages with capabilities.
Right. So for example, the Hue bulbs have a switch, even though technically they don't have a switch. You can turn them on and off. It's a switch.
Yep. Which you'll see in a minute. So device type handlers are something else we wanted to touch on. We have one of our engineers here, Vinay, who writes device type handlers. I think he's probably in that other room. But yeah, we'll just touch on this briefly. And there'll be another workshop sometime in the future for device type handlers. It's kind of advanced. But they parse the raw messages from the device, and they create standardized capabilities for SmartApps, which we'll dig into. And here's just an example of from a real device type handler. I think it's a Z-Wave switch or something. Yeah, so takes that raw data, makes a command for us to use on, and turns the switch on. Also, device handlers are used to define how devices look inside SmartThings. Now, here's the reason you're here. SmartApps. SmartApps, I think, are the best part of SmartThings platform. They're the bread and butter of SmartThings. They let users connect devices, actions, external services to create automation. So stuff like turn off the lights when I arrive, or when there's motion, alert me, stuff like that. And this is a picture of our IDE, which is like the only graphic we have right now for the SmartThings platform, but we're working on it. Anything you want to say about that?
I think you covered it.
Okay. So Groovy, it's not that scary. Groovy, you should talk about Groovy.
Groovy. So we use Groovy because it leverages the power and stability of the JVM. So it can actually run Java code, but it offers the benefits of the scripting. You actually look at this in a diagram. You have support in the JVM, and you have feature-rich capabilities of scripting languages. Groovy falls right in the peak zone of that. So we have a couple examples of some powerful things we can do with Groovy. We have a list, just iterates through an enclosure. You can see,
Sorry.
Go back. So variables defined right here. You don't have to define a variable to look for each one. It automatically knows that. Next one. So we have our definition of hues. This is just setting up the new color variable. And then this asterisk is a spread dot operator. So it's basically calling the method set color on every single item in that list.
And a few other tricks.
Recent events, question mark, size. It's just checking to see if that's a null pointer error. So if it exists, call the method size. Otherwise, don't call it. And then we have inline variables where you can say new date, and it prints it out in the string.
Yep. So we're going to probably dive into coding next. Did you guys have any questions to start? Anything at all? General questions? All right. So don't forget there's pizza and beer. Drink the beer out of the red tube, or the red tub, because that's our beer. Okay, let's code. Let's build our first smart app. It's super simple. We think it's going to work. So in plain English, we want to turn on a light when a contact sensor is open, and lock a lock and turn off a light when a contact sensor is closed. So here's a contact sensor. You put it on your door. Put it anywhere you want. This is the multi-sensor that SmartThings makes. It has 4 different capabilities. Can you name them?
I can. Open, close, accelerometer, three-way access, and temperature.
Yep. So actually, should we look at what this device looks like in the app? Yeah. Let's do that real quick. Let me see.
This is great. Actually, the top use case for this sensor is the garage door. So people like to detect when the garage door is open. So it's not only access, what the orientation is, but also the open and close align. It's redundancy there.
I think it's this one. All right, yeah, this is our, you guys all see this? So he mentioned temperature. When I move it, it becomes active automatically. When I open it, it should say open. And then this is the three-way axis, so X, Y, and Z. One of the uses of this in our Minneapolis office is they put this on the keg, and like when they pull it down, it takes your picture. So it knows where it is at all time. So let's close it. Okay, so let's show you the smart app. Before we do that, there's a few things in code that you need to understand really simply. You want to talk louder? Yeah. Thanks. Do you want to explain what those things are?
So the purpose of this app is just to get everyone familiar with kind of the structure and layout of what you'll see in the smart app. Very high. Shows you essentially what is given to you to start a new smart app from the so we have the preferences, which defines the inputs and capabilities for that smart app that the end user can choose. So I can define capability switch, I guess, in this case. And the user can choose which switch they want it to be. They've installed, updated, and initialized. Install and updated are both system calls, so they will be called regardless of whether they're there or not. initialize is the method that we initialize all of our subscriptions to handle the event of open and close. Both installed and updated will call this, which is why we have all of those calls inside of initialize. And then we just have our two handler methods. So when when the contact sensor is open, call open handler. When it's closed, call close handler. And now we'll go through that code.
I'm refreshing it just to make sure it's the latest. So now you're going to get a look at our IDE /simulator. So all the code at SmartThings is written in this box, basically. And then you'll see us simulate devices here. All right.
Quick question. Where's that code live?
On our servers.
So if there's a break in internet connection?
So on V2, we will have locally run apps. So the hub will support locally run apps.
Yeah.
In case the internet goes down, and it has backup battery. So even if your power is completely out, which is why your internet's down, it's still running. Perfect.
So I'm going to actually copy this and put it in a text file so you guys can read it. You think I should do that? Yeah. Okay, so you think that's good?
Can we make it smaller and everyone still see in the back?
Yeah, is that okay? Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll just start from the beginning here. You want to step through it real quick?
Yeah, so preferences. This is the section we spoke about earlier where you're going to allow your user to select devices that they want to use with your SmartApp. You can have a couple different variables here. We'll keep it pretty high level right now for just section. So every input has to be inside of a section. You can give your section a title and a description as well. You would do it with a key value pair like this. We have our inputs defined here. So you have input with your variable name, the capability that it has, the title, and then we have multiple on the end of this. You have a couple different options here. You can do multiple, you can do required, and
there's other things too.
So required and multiple are set to false by default. I'm sorry, multiple is set to true by default. Required is set to false by default. Next thing we're going to jump into is the installed function. So this is just a log statement, pretty simple, and we call the initialize method.
So every time you install the app, it would run this function, pretty much. Yeah, we'll show you that too. That's coming up in next.
More, yeah. Updating is going to be when you update the app. So when the end user goes in, they change their contact sensor, for example, you're going to want to unsubscribe from all the events previously subscribed to, and then you're going to run that initialize function again. And this is where all of your subscriptions are going to happen. So in initialize, this will be called again if it's installed or if it's updated, and you're going to use our method here, subscribe. So we're subscribing to the variable contact, and then this is the attribute that we're subscribing to. So when it has contact.open, it gets that event call. We're going to go ahead and send it to the open handler, which is just a callback method. Same thing, but vice versa with the bottom subscribe, contact close, call it closed handler. Pretty straightforward.
So the two handler methods are so simple. Open handler is light.on, close handler is light.off. So right now this just turns the lights on and off. So let's do it. So this is when we install it.
This is our emulator.
You can install these on your phone too, but it's a little easier to see here.
And this is nice because it allows you to use virtual devices if you don't have physical devices. So there are a lot of devices you may not have, and you can still test against them.
So this is what we set up in the preferences. Now we're picking the devices. Notice that we have multiple here. We want to control just 2 bulbs and install. Okay, so now you can see this is closed, the lights. This is a virtual light, which you just mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can have virtual devices. And then we have the 2 hue bulb lamps, this one and that one. So nothing should happen when I open it, right? Because they're already on, right? But when I close this, they should turn off.
Live demo, right?
So the actual challenge was to make the lock as well, right?
Right. So what's the challenge?
Let's try to do that. How would you do it, Chris?
How would I do it? I think we should have that. How would you guys do
Yeah,
it?
how would you guys do it? Let's start here, basically.
So someone give me the first answer for what you would do. All right, perfect.
Set what?
Preferences.
So what would you call it?
You would take an input, right?
So we'll call it lock. And the capability,
We don't need to know this.
we don't know what that is, so let's look in our docs. I know what it is, but this is how you'd find it if you want to. Our docs are at docs.smartthings.com. We have a capability taxonomy, so every capability that is supported is here. It also lists the attributes and different commands you can send. So this one's called lock. Okay, capability.lock. Can be locked or unlocked, and these are the functions. So back to the code. .lock. Select a lock. And then multiple. We only have one lock. So let's just, we don't even have to add that, right?
No, you don't. Defaults.
Okay. What else would you guys do?
Okay. So perfect example of that. But you're installed and you're updated, both call initialize, so that you don't have to add code. All right. So we're just going to set it in initialize instead.
We want to lock the door when the contact sensor closes. So we really just need to update close handler, right?
Right.
So what is it? Lock.lock?
Good guess.
We'll try it. Okay. So I'm just going to, is that it? Yeah, that's it. All right, paste this in, save it. It is saving.
Is everyone with us so far? Does anyone have any questions? Pretty high level still?
Pretty easy right now.
Are both these devices on Zigbee?
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
So can you multi-protocol it to LAN?
Right. You would define that in a device type. Yeah. So you can do cloud to cloud, and you can do LAN. Cloud to cloud, you're going to use OAuth 2 and LAN.
Yeah, so look, now when we installed it, we have a lock. So select a lock, demo lock, and then reinstall this app. So opening it should just turn the lights back on, right? And then closing it should lock the door, guys. Cross your fingers.
Oh, man. Watch it fail.
We had it working earlier.
How do you pick that?
I had to wake it up. Was there a question?
What was that? I didn't see you use
I did over here when I was installing it.
You want to open expand preferences?
Yeah, so right here it showed up. After I hit install, it showed up right there.
Well, this is us using the simulator because we're projecting right now, but theoretically as an end user, Windows,
Yeah.
iOS.
We can show how it looks in an app if you guys want to see. So that's that.
Yeah, that's that. That's
So there's-
SmartApp number one.
There's 3 more, so it gets more complicated. Not complicated, but more exciting.
More exciting. Yeah. You guys have a firm grasp of this?
So you guys have any questions about that first one before we move on? You can collect that as an input, right?
Yeah, you can, but there's no way to get the account associated. I'm sorry? I don't know. That would be our question for our platform. I can't imagine. It's kind of one of those things where we want to keep most users on this. It's not on the roadmap. I can't let you know that.
Okay, let's move on to our next one. We had a question about controlling devices with API calls, right? All right, so how many of you guys know what an HTTP request is? Yeah. Okay. If you don't know, Chris?
All right, spotlight. So an HTTP request is just basically sending out, either send or receive something from another server. And
It's the way that the internet works and talks to each other.
Yeah.
I like to say the good example is Google. When you go to google.com, you type in Google, you're doing a GET request. Google's giving you that page. When you search for something, you're sending a post request.
Yeah.
So you're sending data.
It's kind of how that. I think that's our high level definition of what it is. You might be able to speak to it.
Yeah, what's a HTTP request?
If you wanted an image of the internet, you posted and you paste a link of the image and you see the image, that's you requesting for that URL. On the server, it figures out that, hey, there's a JPEG image that you want, sends the JPEG image back, and your browser shows that as
That's
That's a
good.
great example.
So the simple thing we want to do is check the status of a light with a GET request, and then update the light with a PUT request. Super simple. Here's the building blocks again, same preferences. We introduced a new function called mappings. This is where we build our own endpoints. And then, as you'll see, we set different functions connected to those, methods that run when you get those requests. And then there's two functions, get switch, set switch.
So these are going to be the mapped to that. So get is going to be get switch. But I should have named it put switch. Set switch.
All right. So here's this app. Super simple. We only have one input this time. It's the lights that we want to control. So it's capability.switch. There's multiple again, same as last time. We actually don't need to call anything and install or update because mappings takes care of that basically.
Yeah, I mean, if you delete them completely, you'll get an error.
Yeah.
I don't think it actually doesn't work. I think it still works, but you'll see that error in your logs.
This is the best part. We're setting up an endpoint /switch, and then with a GET request, run this function. With a PUT request, run set switch.
Those are defined.
We're going to define those right now. So let's do get switch before we even look at set switch. Get switch is literally light.currentState. So we want to get the state of the light. So I am going to install this. And we're going to use a console called Apogee. Just lets us make API calls or HTTP requests. You could use curl if you're really good. I could probably figure it out. Okay. So let's control those two lights again. Or let's use those two lights again. Okay, so down here now, there's two new, there's a token and there's an endpoint. So the token will will authorize you to make API calls, and the endpoint is the URL basically. So standard OAuth2, just use a header. Now we're authenticated. And now we can put any URL in there and see if it returns data. So remember it was /switch, right? Where is it? /switch. So I'm just going to append that to the end of the URL. It's kind of small, but you guys can see I just added /switch, and we're going to do a GET request. So when I send that, it should give me back. It didn't give me back the data. But I did get a 200, which is good. Normally, you would have some JSON there that says the light's on or off. Sometimes it doesn't come back. I've noticed it a couple times. Try again. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I didn't scroll.
But this is actually a good opportunity to say, if you scroll up real quick, we actually just added this. So even for those of you that are familiar with SmartApps, we have a rate limit that we just implemented.
Oh, yeah, we have rate limits now. Watch out. Yeah, so here's the JSON that came back. The switch is on. Tells you what time. Should we turn the switch off and see if it says off? Yeah.
That's a good question.
I don't know.
Vinay?
Bob is there too. Yeah, we can ask that to some of our engineers afterwards. Okay, so let's turn the light off and see if it says off. Should be this one and this one. Okay. And let's run that same. I'm actually going to refresh the page. Sorry, bear with me again. And the URL didn't change, so get, and it says off. So now let's turn them on and off with an API call. So the next function is get set switch. So this one's simple too. In a PUT request, we're going to send some JSON, and we're going to see if it's on, turn the light on. If it's off, turn the light off. Right?
So important to note here, request.json value is going to be your key for that. So whatever you're sending in key, it's going to be dot key. You'll see that in the volume.
So if I just do put and send some data, value on. There you go. So you can imagine that any type of device can be controlled or sensed with this.
We have a good community app, Smart Alarm, that allows for API access. So you can build a front-end GUI, anything you want, and it allows you to control your alarm theoretically with it.
Any questions about that smart app?
What happens if the device is offline?
It's
I
offline.
don't have any power in my house.
Yeah,
It would return an
it
error.
wouldn't update, basically.
Would I know when I'm calling like something went wrong or?
Yeah, I think it would give you a response that was couldn't reach it.
Yeah, the new hub will have battery backup and stuff like that, and local processing.
You should try that.
Yeah. Question back there.
Just on devices themselves,
Yep.
how do you know what a device's capability is? So a light that dims or a half opens or a kilowatt-hour meter that does wattage?
It's a good question. So find all of this out. You're going to go to our documentation. And under reference material, you have capability taxonomy. It's also good to point out we have like class definitions for SmartApps, so you can see all of the classes that we provided for you. And then in here you can see, so you have attributes and you have commands. So you can see some of them have certain commands that others don't. We have music player, can play, stop, pause. Obviously a light is not going to have that. And this is really where you're going to go to find that. There is a community that develops custom device types, and they'll have all that information.
You can't hold a device for what it does. Sorry? You can't hold a device for what it does.
I think you can, yeah.
You can,
Yeah.
Let me get the
We-
device status.
You can get the status, but you can also get back all the capabilities that are available from a device.
And attributes.
And attributes. How do you do it? I don't exactly know right now, but there's a way to do it. Is it documented very well?
Yeah, it
Bob
is.
knows the answer. That's what I thought. Current capabilities. Yeah, so
Capabilities of support commands.
Once again, our docs are really good.
they're being improved right now too.
They're not easy to traverse necessarily, but they have a lot of information, especially this reference section. I work here and I still go here. I'm sure.
Yeah, we have a couple documentation developers that are like redoing this too. It's gonna be awesome. Any more questions before we move on?
When is the VQ hub coming out?
Haha.
That's a question.
Dude.
Guys have project timeline.
I don't know. I think the latest I heard was this year, and sooner than I don't know. You have to ask Ben afterwards. He's back
Track
there.
them down.
Yeah.
Agree to share with us.
We'll ask him.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So how many devices can you connect to one hub?
As many as you want.
Hundreds.
Alex, our CEO, has like 100 light bulbs in his house. Light bulbs. Ben, I think, has like what, 150 or something like that.
People have connected hundreds and hundreds. I don't know about thousands yet.
There's no limit to Z-Wave.
Oh, Z-Wave has a limit?
Yeah, there's 200. Like 250 for Z-Wave.
Yeah. You must have a really nice house if you have 250 Z-Wave. Okay, we're gonna move on to the third SmartApp demo, and it's control a hue bulb from Twitter. So this one requires a little interaction from you guys. We're using Zapier, which is kind of like middleman service, like IFT, connects two things together really nicely.
Yeah, we're just basically using them to query against Twitter.
Yeah, because we didn't feel like building our own Twitter listener, basically. But it listens to Twitter for hashtags. We decided on a search term, and then it'll update the color of these bulbs. So this smart app is very similar to the last one. We're going to use an endpoint, and we have two functions, post hue and set hue color. So I think we should show the live demo part first. So if you guys tweet something at SmartThingsDev, hashtag IoT World 2015, color equals anything. Well, not anything. So I'm going to do it right now just to test. It'll take a few minutes. That's why I wanted to do it first. Because Zapier is limited. Yeah.
Well, Twitter's limited in the number of times you can pull them.
Yeah. So at SmartThings dev IoT World 2015 color equals purple. We're having fun in there. Okay, let's show the code. Chris, do you want to talk about this one?
Sure. So similar inputs. We only have one again. Well, the queues this time since that was not one of our queues. Since we're using queues. So you'll see capability color control because we're going to be changing the colors. We have a title, and I think we have a couple of those other metadata that you've seen. You go down to mappings. You'll see actually we eliminated from this app the up to there.
We should move them up.
We should move them up. So once again, don't need these. And then we have our mappings here. It's only one. We have a path to queue, and we only have one action, which is put close to, because we're not actually reading anything from the device. We just want to change the color. And this is our handler method. So it's going to go ahead and check to make sure that request JSON exists with that quick question mark. And if it does, it's going to pull out the key text, or the value for the key text. We log it. Logging is a really great way to debug your apps. We have a live logger in our IDE tools, and it is invaluable for debugging. We're going to try. So because we are sending this down to set queue color and it may not work, we're going to have a try catch block. Definition tweet color. So this just basically pulls out that value that we're looking for as a multi-dimensional array. So you pull out 0, 1, move it to lowercase so that it will match our switch statement, and then we send this to set queue color. Queue color, we define some variables. We have a switch statement.
Yeah. So the hue takes hue, color, saturation, and level, which we're just like initializing, and then this is where we do the magic.
Yeah. So this is just your standard switch statement. It checks. These numbers are all located online on Hue's developer documentation, which is how you're going to figure out that red goes to hue color 100 saturation. So we're going to do a map right here for new value, and that's what this accepts in. And then you'll also see we use that spread dot operator, Hue's asterisk, so that every single hue that's selected will have that command called on it. And that is
Here's the real one. Okay, so you can see there's some logs coming through here. This one is these are from earlier, but it was working. Probably still is working.
You want to force it?
Can we do that?
Yeah.
In Zapier? Oh no. We're gonna try to force it to work.
This is a good example. It'll also show you Zapier, which is our middle between our Twitter and our SmartApp.
Yep, so very similar to IFT. Here's where we set the search term in Twitter. And this is where we do that. We show the URL, the endpoint. We're going to get JSON. And this is where we do our authorization. And we can test it right here. Maybe. So this would turn it green. Ready?
Yeah.
So we just forced it to listen to Twitter. But yeah, that worked. That was awesome. That one, we were struggling with that one, trying to get it to work last minute. Pairing the Hue hub and all that stuff. So yeah, any questions about that one?
The search terms that you put in, they can be switched, swapped in any order, or was it significant?
Yeah, this SmartApp listens for anything that says color equals word.
Well, not this. Zapier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the at and the hashtag, like if you
You
switch
can
that in the order.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Work.
Yep, it should. Yeah. Because
So that's Zapier defined.
Yeah.
But if you were to do your own in the SmartApp, you can actually say, listen for this. It doesn't matter the order, it matters.
Yep. Any questions there, guys?
Pretty straightforward. You guys still with us? Are we boring you?
We got one more SmartApp to show you. Is George here? No. Afterwards, we can all hang out and go in there. Chris has another demo in there to show you, which is awesome, with the foosball table. And then we have another demo in the very back.
Yeah, we've got a Sonos hooked up there. We've got a couple of Hue lights and Hue light strip.
Yeah, the light strip.
Look at our devices. play with them. We'll have the iPad back there. So come to them to play with.
How many of you guys know Weather Underground? Oh man, yeah. My favorite weather, yeah. My favorite weather site for sure. It's a community of tens of thousands, maybe over 100,000 people who have personal weather stations. So I wanted to turn our temperature sensor into a personal weather station. So this app does it pretty well. Weather Underground's API just takes you have to hit a URL, just a GET request basically. So we're gonna do that right now. Oh. So yeah, this one's really simple. Preferences, you know about that. There's 3 functions. So run every 10 minutes, that's part of a SmartApp platform. Update weather, and then calculate dew point. So let's show you. So maybe not the best example, but this smart app requires you to type in your weather ID from Weather Underground and your password.
Cloud to cloud.
It's cloud to cloud. So
it doesn't use OAuth. They do not use OAuth.
Yeah. So just the main part of this example, the main part of this is to show you that a smart app can make HTTP requests from inside. So the installed function and updated function should look the same to you. So in initialize, we're seeing if the sensor is reporting data, run every 5 minutes, update current weather.
So this is a good time to actually talk about our scheduling. We have a bunch of scheduling functions that you can call, and run every 5 minutes is one of them. We have run once, we have schedule.
Yep.
You can find them all once in the docs, but that's how you're going to have easy access to scheduling events.
To update current weather, these log statements just gather data from the sensor. And then dew point, we'll see that in a second. So this is where they built the URL for Weather Underground. We're passing in the ID, password, temperature, humidity, and dew point. Pretty much all you need to know there. And this is the magic part of the smart app. We have a function called HTTP GET. There's other verbs like post, put, delete, sending in that URL and getting a response.
This is also a good time to talk about assigning your own variables. So you saw that it operator before. If you wanted to define that with your own variable name, you just do variable name, arrow, and then you can use it with that as well.
So that's pretty much it. Oh, calculate dew point is just a big math problem. It takes temperature and humidity from the sensor and sends the dew point. So let's do it. First, let's install the app. In the meantime, let's go to Weather Underground. Oops. Usually just one. Oops. No. Let's see my weather stations. Oh no. No. Okay.
Of course.
I have an idea.
You can just watch the.
I can?
It'll show. Should get a response.
I know, and I have an idea.
All
right, so this is my weather station at home. We're going to mess with it real quick. We're just going to steal the ID for it. So we need to get that ID. KCA, SIN, Okay, back to the app. So here's the preference section. In this case, we pick a temperature and humidity sensor. We put in the weather station ID and the password. So we're going to use workshop. Well, let's use the multi. So the multi sensor that we had before has temperature in it. So we'll use the temperature from that. And the humidity we need to get from an actual humidity sensor. So it's right here. You can put it in here. And the weather station ID. Oops. And my password's just smart weather. Install.
Write down that ID, everyone.
Yeah. You can really mess with my weather station. Nothing in the logs. So it's 75 degrees down here. That seems about right. What's the humidity? 52. All right. So yeah, there's no like real special thing that happens here. You have to wait every 5 minutes to see it, but Hopefully in 5 minutes it'll start recording.
While we wait, does anyone have any questions about that SmartApp?
Where's it running? Is it running on the hub?
No, this is running our cloud.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, V2 will have local storage, though, so.
All right. So back to our presentation. Do you guys have any questions about that anymore?
How big can your app be?
Run on the hub?
Question was, how big can your app be?
Yeah, I don't know how much storage the hub has.
A lot.
A lot?
Well, I mean, it's not going to be like a gigabyte. It's just,
That's what I define.
I think Smart Alarm is the biggest app I've seen, and it's like 2,000 lines of code.
That's
So
pretty good.
maybe a megabyte.
You can, really, you're not storing a lot of data with
Yeah.
a SmartApp, right? It's just text.
What is the storage on the new hub? Do you know? Renee? Someone up there knows?
4 gig.
4 gig flash on the new hub. Yeah. So,
Questions real quick? Or-
yeah, any more questions? We're going to just almost wrap up here. Here's where we'll send this link out. We'll do the hashtag IoT World 2015 at SmartThings Dev again. We will stick a color in there. We'll put this link in, put all the links in. The code examples are SmartThings, github.com/SmartThingsCommunity/code. The IDE and simulator, all the docs. Every 2 weeks we do developer discussions. So we do like a live video chat with our community. They're awesome.
We also have people featured on them. So Jeff Evans is our CTO. He was on there
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Our community manager is April, and she like finds good content for that every 2 weeks. She couldn't be here tonight. And then finally, best part of SmartThings, I think, is the community. Community members can write SmartApps and submit them to us, as well as device types. So, and they're awesome. The community members are awesome.
These are some of our examples of our third-party integrations.
Yeah, these are just a few we grabbed. Questions?
Yes, you mentioned you can write a device type. What is actually the device type? The actual physical device?
So it's the software side for a physical device. It's going to be how your physical device will take the Zigbee and Z-Wave and all those commands and actually turn them into method calls that your SmartApp can use. So
You define capabilities in a device
yeah,
type
so you
too.
want to actually pull one up real quick?
Yeah.
So we just-
I can show you the code for a device type really quick. It ain't pretty.
So you can go into the IDE, and we have a bunch of templates
It's pretty.
that you can select from for SmartApps, device types. We don't include all of those, but we have quite a few in there. The community SmartApps that have been shared are also in the IDE.
So here's a Zigbee switch device type.
So you define the capabilities that it has, fingerprint it.
Yeah, so these are like the raw messages, the fingerprinting. That's not the raw message, that's the fingerprint.
So we have a simulator, so this allows us to operate in our simulator. These are the tiles that are going to be used in the app when Peter showed it to you.
Yeah, I'll show again.
Color, things like that, sliders, all of these are going to be defined here.
Yeah, but basically all the different tiles that you see in our app are defined in a device type. And then the parts function.
So this is actually going to take all of that data, map it.
Yeah, it's going to turn it into a command, right? So these are the commands down at the bottom.
Commands. So on, off, meter, refresh. So anyone can go in and write any of these, and you can publish it for yourself.
Yep.
Any kind of plans for like publishing workflow?
We do. Yeah, we're really excited about that. It's something that we're moving forward on. We can just run a guy on to handle it. So,
Yes.
To make the apps easier to install, because right now you get the
Yeah. And find, like discovery, smart app discovery is a big thing we're working on.
that's
Yeah.
kind of I think the larger for the first iteration of the marketplace is app discovery. But installation is going to be definitely on the roadmap.
Sometimes it's painful to be great that you get because of developer.
Right, so for community-driven apps, yeah, exactly. You have to go to the IDE, you have to copy paste the code. Right, it's much more complicated. So we do have a way of submitting your community apps right now, but it should be better. Right? You didn't need to know that you can submit to our code flow. It's not. It's a really flow.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll get that rolled out.
George from WeWorks, you want to say a few things?
Oh,
Yeah. This is George. He's our gracious host. WeWork is awesome. We want to thank you so much for having us.
Okay, so hi, yeah, my name is George. I'm actually the last manager here at WeWork. So we periodically hold events like this to kind of enrich our community. WeWork, for all you guys who don't know, it's more of a, we like to think of ourselves as a co-working space, but plus more, right? It's one of those things that we try to set up events and network and everything. So welcome guys. Feel free to look around. We have different types of things if you want to learn more. If you want to work for the day upstairs, with dedicated desk or even office space upstairs. So just feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and welcome together, guys.
We were providing all the games. We didn't bring those in.
That's great. Yeah.